On this panel, we will have two guests. Martin Mesršmíd, Director of the Digital and Information Agency, that wants to contribute to the difficult digitalization process in order to make people make it possible for people to collaborate and communicate with the government electronically. And Jan Blažek, Chairman of the Board of Directors of Bankovní, Identita, he's been the Chairman of the Board since 2001, and this company helps to connect and access data systems of banks and public administration to all citizens. Welcome, gentlemen. We do not have much time in view of the topic that we want to talk about. I have one first question. Why is digital transformation of the state agenda so important? The transformation says in itself that we need to move from one status to another. That means a certain change. And the reason is that we see the current status as insufficient and dissatisfactory, and the reasons are quite obvious. We all see and understand and realize there is a lot of room for improvement in public administration, both in terms of speed and efficiency and use of public money. So the objective is to use digital transformation for improvement. We are talking about digital and digitalization, but very often, unfortunately, in this country, it means that we start doing things electronically, but without properly thinking how they could be done in another way, differently and better. It is good to hear. For many people, you're right, digitalization means that we will be doing the same things, but electronically. Now, do you think there is a way to change the mindset? Well, I wanted to say myself that when talking about digital transformation, I would only talk about transformation. The objective is to make things simpler, better, more functional, more efficient. So whether you use digital tools or other, it's not that important. Digitalization is a tool which can be very efficient in that. So what are the steps that we can do in short term? The first steps that we should take, whether in public administration and in business, the public wanted us to be very specific. So in my view, it's definitely more emphasis on service sharing, on data sharing, on developing interconnected data fund, data base, and use of common building blocks, such as completion of the state cloud and its functional usage, to make sure that, for example, one institution makes its data available and offers it with a service so that the other institution is not forced to do more or less the same. So this should be one of the cornerstones of any successful transformation. Another aspect would be measurability. We need to be able to measure the progress. For the time being, we don't know whether we are progressing or not, and if we are progressing, how much. Unless we are able to measure the time that is required for resolving an issue, for admitting an application, we can't tell whether we are improving or not. Well, I think we are improving, at least looking at the numbers of accesses to the government portals. There has been a great increase, so it's been successful in a way. And as for the transformation, there are many obstacles, both on the part of the state and business. One of the steps that is needed is more profound collaboration between the public and private sectors. And then the regulation that has been mentioned many times, and I think deregulation would help the state as well. And there is also lack of resources, and with this I don't mean only financial resources, I mean HR, human resources, especially in the IT sector. The regulation obviously is costly, and lack of qualified staff is a big problem. This means that we are incompetitive vis-à-vis the rest of the world. Petr Mosna in the previous panel said that its office is fully digitalized, and he was surprised by the other offices. And he also said that if his staff was not willing to promote digitalization, he would dismiss them. But where to find new people? We know that in the IT, the wages are extremely high, so this might be one of the reasons why qualified people are not in public administration. You are right, this is one of the reasons why we lack qualified staff. But one more comment on collaboration with the private sector. It is definitely a good way to promote. However, the conditions should be slightly different from what it is doing now. At the moment, the state, which lacks qualified people, the state outsources from the private sector even things and agendas that should be done by the state itself. The problem is that the state is not able to define its requirements, its terms of reference. Very often the state says, you study the legislation and tell us how we should do it. The state is lacking knowledge and data on its own processes. So this is what should be done on the part of the state. They should be able to know exactly what is the core of what they want to achieve, and then set the terms of reference for the private sector. And this is what the private sector says. We actually already heard this in the morning, that Tomáš Čupr expects the people from the public administration knocking on the door. The trouble is it's always about the people and the type of people who work for the state and public administration. How many young people will go and start working in public administration? It's not really the case that young people admire jobs in public administration, and one of the reasons is that the state and public administration, unfortunately, are not able to pay sufficiently for their work. People working for the state work there because they are convinced of they are committed, but at the end of the day, they are so overburdened that they burn out in a couple of years. And this is one of the biggest problems. And unless we are able to pay these qualified professionals properly, we won't improve this situation. From what I hear around, it is also about the prestige that's linked to jobs in public administration. Could the state do something about it? Certainly, it's not only about money. Actually, I think there is a great demand for some kind of a mission. Many people in my environment, when I talk to them about their role in the world, many people search for sensible tasks. There are many people who would be willing to work for lower money, But, of course, we are not talking about 50% of the standard wages. The state has a lot to offer. The state can offer learning and upskilling. They can offer perspectives, but there is a big barrier. What is also unhealthy in my viewpoint is the extremely low unemployment rate. And since it has lasted for too long, it distorts the market. And many people, and my colleague here would tell you how long it took before they staffed the Digital Information Agency. In Romania and Bulgaria, the situation is much better because the unemployment rate is higher. But so on our market, the people who are not afraid of losing their jobs, they somehow start losing motivation to improve themselves. So the labor market would really need some changes because unless we do that, we still be lacking the people. If we all know that education is key for any proper functioning of public administration, why don't schools, even in private sector, try improve the offered education to educate young people to become public officers with a mission? Well, it's a good question, but I'm not. I do not have the courage to answer. Let's go back to digitalization of public administration. You both work on the topic of the EU wallet. The EU digital wallet will not contribute to digital transformation of the public administration as such, but it will help the citizens, the markets, the whole situation. Introduction of the EU digital wallet will be, in my view, a big step forward, and it will contribute to new lines of business because it will allow for safe data exchange while still preserving the protection of private data. So it's not only a matter of communication with the state. The state, by law, holds registers where the information is available. So the state does not need the information through the EU digital wallet, but it will simplify transfer of data and information between the private and public sectors through a device that the user holds at hand. The private sector will be able to obtain information that is needed. For example, confirmation of no tax debt or similar documents. So in my view, it should simplify extremely communication between public and private sectors. At the same time, new products that are based on trust and anonymity will be also developing. For example, if you want to use services online that require confirmation of certain data, such as the age, it will be possible. So the EU digital wallet is the first, let's say, kick that should speed up the digital transformation in Europe.
It will definitely have impact also on the public administration, but the digitization of public administration has been ongoing for many years, since the 1980s and 1990s. We did a lot since then, and this is a slightly different approach because the public administration exchanges data that is regulated by the law. They are using technologies that allow exchange of data between individual government authorities. The government authorities have other obligations, such as the just to pre-fill forms that relates to the Act on the Right to Digital Service. But if I use this wallet, then I can use seamlessly services from public and private sector. In 5 years, we may ask ourselves the question: how many of you will still carry with them a physical wallet? How many of you still carry a wallet with you? So to be able to make comparison if we meet here after 5 years. About 1.5. So we'll see what will be the situation in 5 years. I will just add a few points to that I think are important. I think that I would like to stress that this is a EU level project. So I am now representing Bake ID. This is a solution that is used mainly in the Czech Republic, but the European EU wallet will be a product service that we will be able to use in any EU country, and also other members of other EU countries can come here to the Czech Republic or from anywhere else. They will be able to open an account, for instance, in Czechia. Where I think it will bring revolutionary changes is another area. Now you can use Bank ID to remotely identify yourself. So this covers approximately 60 scenarios out of 100. The EU wallet will allow you to cover 100% of such cases. For companies, for the state, it means that what now they need to do in an inefficient paper way, they will be able to do it using the EU wallet and do everything online. It was mentioned here, it will be any certification, study certificates, driving permits, payments, everything. All these things will become much easier. You will be able to use the EU wallet to sign into your bank account, for instance. Now you are using other solutions, but in 3 years you will be able to use this single tool to sign into any bank that operates in the EU. So it will bring a lot of simplification and also a lot of cost savings, both on the side of the companies and on the side of the state. And for users, it will also mean a lot of time savings. Now we have a question that connects these two topics. We mentioned how the digital transformation of public administration and EU wallet. Are you aware that there is a large part of the population that is and will not be digitally literate? So we need to preserve also offline channels. Definitely. None of these projects that are under preparation is replacing something. They are always adding another channel, adding another opportunity, possibility. So we will always preserve the existing channels for people who do not want to use any digital product. So this is the absolute basic. The only thing is that it will probably cost them more, and they will not be able to use all these services. But the law stipulates that the basic services provided by the state have to always be covered also offline. For private companies, it may be not that cost efficient to offer all possible solutions. I always think we have a lot of time when we begin discussion, but now we are getting to the end of the time slot. If you were meant to mention one thing that should be implemented to improve the digitalization of public administration, what would that be? We should attract talented people. We should be able to attract them from the private sector and offer at least comparable wages to them. And so we should be able to attract talents to all ministries, talented, motivated people that would help to push things forward. A question to the private sector: would you be able to offer your employees for one day to the state? Well, I think we are already doing that. So what would you suggest? Well, my proposal would be we should get rid of some regulations, because it would lower the burden that is placed on companies, and it would free our hands, free our resources, and invest them into what we need to in innovations, or invest it in transformation of the public administration. I'm looking at the time countdown, and I'm thinking now there was a new piece of news release that how many time Europeans spend by clicking on the cookie bar. Somebody made the calculation, and they calculated also that it costs us 14 billion euro. This is just one piece of regulation, and I understand what were the intentions behind. But if you look at how much time we spend with it, if you multiply it by the cost of time, it costs us tremendous money. So I hope that this wish of yours comes true, because I'm really nagged by having to click on the cookie bar every time I visit a website. So thank you very much for participating in the discussion. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we will have a 15-minute coffee break, and we will meet here at 5 minutes past 3 p.m. and we will discuss cybersecurity and how to protect digital infrastructure.